C8 Corvettes are down $44,000 compared to their market top and can now be found for $55,000. On top of this high depreciation rate, something else happened that makes it even more unattractive to buy a C8 right now. In this video, I'll update you on the latest development in the Corvette market, and I'll share with you why right now might not be the best moment to purchase one. We'll mainly focus on the C8s, but also cover the C7s. Let's first discuss how we ended up at this point. Corvette C8 Stingray prices have been on a roller coaster ride. During the pandemic, C8s belonged to the most popular cars in the US. It only took on average 7 days to sell a C8 Stingray. This caused prices to spiral up to levels far above MSRP. The average list price for a coupe was $105,000, while MSRP started at $61,000. Prices topped in August 21, and this is approximately 1 year before the general market topped. The reason for the top is of course idiosyncratic. Market supply ramped up to almost 1,000 cars by this time. This was sufficient to put an end to the soaring prices. Prices started to decrease, first slowly, then quickly. At the end of 2022, coupes decreased by $11,000 and convertibles by $13,000 in the time span of only 6 months. In the following years, the depreciation rate decreased slightly and showed some fluctuations, but always remained above the market average. So what happened in 2025? Looking at the chart, we can see that Stingray prices increased between February and May, and that this slight increase pushed prices up to a median of $70,000 for the coupes and $79,000 for the convertibles. Thanks to these increases, the depreciation rate ended up at minus 8.3% in the convertible market and minus 9.1% in the coupe market. These are the lowest rates since the market top in August 21. Moreover, prices increased across the market. Looking at the price development in the coupe market broken down by model year, we can see for example that prices increased for cars from all model years. Hence, it's not an isolated effect. We can also see that prices for 2024 and 2025 coupes started significantly lower when they were introduced, but more about that later. Now, looking at the depreciation rate is only one way to keep the cost of ownership low. Another way is to protect your car from accidental damage, such as scratches on your front bumper caused by speed bumps and windshield cracks caused by rocks. To protect your car from these dangers, you can install the latest in skid plate and windshield protection film technology from Exclusive Motorworks. Their Automat skid plates are the thinnest on the market, are custom fitted by using 3D laser scanning technology and require no drilling, screws or rivets to attach. The windshield skin keeps your windshield safe from things like cracks and chips, preventing costly replacements. Moreover, you can install the windshield skin yourself without professional help. You can order skid plate kits and windshield skin kits for your car at exclusivemotorworks.com. Now let's go back to the C8s. What's going on over there? Why are prices increasing? Well, it's no coincidence that this price increase happened between February and May. The Corvette C8 market is characterized by an exceptionally strong seasonality effect. Look what happened between January and May 22. Prices were falling, but halted during the spring. This also happened in 2023 and to a lesser extent in 2024. Every spring, prices decrease less quickly or even go up. This might seem like good news for buyers, right? After all, you're buying a car with a lower depreciation rate. Unfortunately, you also need to pay a lot more for your car. And this makes the summer, in particular this one, a relatively bad moment to buy a C8. Let me show you. Over here we have the price change on the carried over inventory. That is, the price change for cars that didn't sell within 3 months. This trend contains a strong seasonal element. In the winter, the market is clearly slower, and sellers decrease prices on unsold cars depending on the market strength. In the winter of 2023, the market was decreasing rapidly, and C8s that didn't sell within 3 months were discounted by an average of 7%. Likewise, sellers decrease prices much less during the summer. They know that demand is higher and that they don't need to reduce prices to the same extent as in the winter in order to sell the car. Shifting our focus to the spring of this year, we can see that discount rates are extremely low, 0% for the coupes and minus 1% for the convertibles. In other words, buying right now means that it's unlikely that there's a lot of haggle room in the price. In the winter though, you should be able to get 5 to 7% off if the car has been standing for 3 months or longer. This already covers a significant part of the 8.3 and 9.1% depreciation that we saw before. Now some might say that this isn't a surprise, because it's always the case. But that's wrong. It doesn't apply to all sports and supercars. In fact, the seasonality pattern in the C8 Stingray market is the strongest one out of all the cars for which I'm tracking the prices. But there's more. We can see that discounts during the winter have been lower and lower since 2023, and that the ones in the summer are lower than the ones in 2024. This indicates that the market is strengthening. If we look at the carried over inventory graph that shows the percentage of cars that didn't sell for 3 months, this is confirmed. We can see that C8 Stingray sold a lot quicker in May 25 than during the whole of 2024. In fact, only 17% of the cars are unsold after 3 months, while the market average is 30%. So C8 Stingrays are selling quickly again. Also, the price trends which we already saw seem to confirm this. The last time prices increased during the summer was 2023. In 2024, they barely flattened. Potentially all of this can be explained by supply levels, which decreased slightly. This in turn of course only holds if demand decreased less or not at all. So right now is not the best moment to purchase a Stingray. That can best be done during the winter. Moreover, the upcoming winter has the potential to be a good moment as the market is strengthening slightly. And it was about time that happened, right? The C8 was depreciating much more than the market average, but more about that later. Does the same apply to the Z06? Well, yes, to some extent. We can see that the price trends for the coupes and convertibles are starting to flatten. Depreciation during last year was 18.1% for the convertibles and 16.7% for the coupes. Rates that are still extremely high, but less high than what we saw before. Now, similar to the Stingray market, price premiums over MSRP are decreasing, but all of this happened much quicker in the Z06 market. Looking at the price trend per model year, we can see that 2023 coupes were priced absurdly high, that 2024 cars entered the market at a much lower price, and that 2025 coupes are now being offered for sale at relatively normal prices. Now, a consequence of this is that the depreciation rates are starting to normalize. After all, they were above the market average due to the deflation of the price premiums. Inventory data for the Z06 market also confirms that the worst could be over in terms of depreciation. Carried over inventory rates are flat and even decreased in May, showing that cars sold slightly quicker. At the same time, discount rates decreased from 12 to 4%, and the latter ones are relatively normal for these type of cars. Data for the E-Race is still accumulating, so let's have a look at the C7s. Over here we have the trends for the Stingray, Grand Sports and Z06s. A lot of data is missing, but we can see that they're relatively good buys at the moment. Stingrays lost 4.7%, Grand Sports 2.7% and Z06s gained 1.1%. The latter change isn't statistically confirmed, and this means that the increase could be the result of chance. Nevertheless, a flat development is still an excellent result. Moreover, we can see that prices increased above February's confidence interval for all models, a clear indication of market strength. ZR1 prices have also been stable for a long time and fluctuate between $185,000 and $190,000. Last year, they lost 2.9%, but this change isn't statistically confirmed, so it's fair to assume a flat price development. Now, throughout this video I've been referring to the depreciation rates in the C8 market as high, but I didn't just randomly assign this label. It's based on a comparison to the rest of the market. Over here we have the US year-over-year price changes for almost all cars that feature on my channel. On the horizontal axis we have the price change compared to last year in percentages, and on the vertical axis we have the number of cars to which this change applies. The average decrease during last year was 3%, and most cars lost between 9 and 1%. This means that C8 Stingrays lost more than the average. That's natural for relatively new cars. Z06s though fall in the top 25% of quickest depreciating cars. As we saw, this is mainly driven by the deflating price premiums. The C7 Stingray lost marginally more than the average, the Grand Sport the same and Z06s less. In fact, it falls in the top 20% of cars with the lowest depreciation rate. Let's wrap up. We saw that the summer, and in particular this summer, aren't the best moments to buy a C8 Stingray, provided you are a value-conscious buyer. The seasonal pattern is extremely strong in this market. Discount rates on unsold inventory are between 0 and 1%, while they are between 5 and 7% in the winter. The latter rates allow you to offset a significant part of the yearly depreciation rate. In general though, the C8 market is normalizing. Stingray depreciation rates used to be between 12 and 14%, mainly driven by the deflation of the price premiums. Now that the oldest cars start to fall below MSRP, the rates normalized a bit at 8 to 9%. Also, the rates in the Z06 market decreased as price premiums are deflating, but at 18% the depreciation rate is still excessively high. If you care about depreciation, you need to shop in the C7 market. In particular, the Z06 and ZR1 stick out with unconfirmed rates of plus 1.1 and minus 2.9% respectively, but also the Grand Sport and Stingrays aren't doing too bad. Now before I close this video, I need to address a few items which always seem to cause confusion in the comment section of the C8 videos. All the rates are averages. It means that your individual situation might not be reflected well by these aggregate numbers. If we compare the prices of new and used C8s over time, we can see, for example, that if you belong to the select group of people that managed to get a car at MSRP during the market frenzy in July 2021, your value loss is significantly lower than if you paid MSRP plus the average price premium. Finally, it's important to remember that all these rates are descriptive. They described what happened in the past. The historical price trends contain some information about the short-term future price development, but cannot predict the long-term future development. And with that, we arrived at the end of this video. Now if you enjoy this data-driven way of analyzing car prices, but would like to see a video for a different car, head over to my channel. Over there you find detailed analysis for a large variety of cars. Can't find the car you're looking for? Let me know the name of the car by commenting it down below in the comment section. Once there are enough requests for a certain car, I'll make a video about it. As always, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again in 2 weeks for a fresh market update.